What's going on, everyone? This is TK here with another episode of Talk to TK, and I have a very, very special guest on the show, Miss Ernie Williams.
What's going on?
What's up, man? Um, we played ball against each other in college, probably in AAU, and didn't really realize it. But yeah, so she went to the University of Texas, and she was there from 2005 to 2010, which is the same years that I was in college. So we got to play against each other quite a bit. And then also, while she was at UT, she played under Coach Jody Conrad, and then again under Coach G. She had a bit of a coaching change throughout her college career. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, just to see what does that look like from a player's perspective, changing coaches mid career, all of that stuff. And while she made some appeared in 4 NCAA tournaments, which is the ultimate tournament to play in as a college athlete for basketball. So she played in 4 of those, so tons of postseason experience. Teams did fairly well, all of that good stuff. And then from there, she went on to play professionally overseas for 7 years, and that's a pretty good length for a basketball career professionally. And so she played. These are all the places that she's played in her 7 years. She played in Portugal, Ecuador, Spain, Puerto Rico, Romania, Sweden, and China. And that is quite the list. So we are definitely going to talk a lot about what that was like with her playing overseas, what that was like going through different mindset shifts, the mentality, the workouts, just that transition period from college to professional, just all of these things that come up. I know a lot of athletes out there, their ultimate dream is to play professionally in whatever sport that they're pursuing. So we have somebody here who has done just that. And so we are going to dive right in. So again, Coach, thank you for being here. Thank you for hopping on the show and being a part of that. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today?
Absolutely. I'm great. Thanks for allowing me to get on the show and talk to you guys.
Absolutely. So for those that don't know, Coach, you're going to try to find me live on IG so we can go live on there as well?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. So we're going to try to connect to IG. I've been live for a little bit now. We've been working on some feedback stuff, but then we'll hop right in. So if anybody out there has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We will be taking questions. We will be answering questions live. We will make sure that the audience gets heard, that's for sure, because we want to share as much knowledge as we possibly can, and we want to make sure that everyone is learning what they're supposed to be learning, what they want to learn, what they want to hear. So we'll give that a second to connect. There you are. All right, good deal.
Boom.
So the first question that I have for you, now that we've kind of gone through your college and professional playing career at a very, very high level, talk to us about what your experience was like when you were playing in college.
So I guess I had a fun experience, right? I guess getting into college, I worked hard enough to have many options, mainly in the Big 12. So I made my decision between Texas, LSU, OU, Oklahoma University, or University of Oklahoma, and then I believe it was Vanderbilt was my fourth.
Yeah.
Yep. But I didn't take that. So I didn't take that that visit. I took 3 visits: LSU, the Texas, and the OU. I wish I would have took all 5, so 2 more just to make sure I covered all my bases. But for college, I think I had a great time. As an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old, you try to make the best decision you can when you have to. I just had many options. I was blessed to have many options to choose from, and had some good schools to choose from. And then I had great coaches. So I felt like Texas, those coaches recruited me in a way that they cared.
Right.
It was a school full of tradition, full of winning in all sports, and especially women's sports. They cared. I felt like if I was to go to Texas after 4 years, I would be the player that I wanted to be. And then I took into account who I was going to be playing with as well.
Mm-hmm.
So who I would learn from as an underclassman. I looked at my seniors and then my juniors I had a chance to play with, and then the girls that I was coming in with. So, and kind of cool enough, we had like seven girls in my class come in, and we had 2 other McDonald's All-Americans as well. So we had a big recruiting class, pretty fun, crazy group. So I had a good time. I really did.
That's awesome. What was that transition like when you went from high school to college? I imagine, being that you did have a lot of big offers, that you were a highly recruited player, as you just said, and you were probably the go-to player on your high school team. Mm-hmm. What did that transition feel like, to go from the go-to player to maybe, 3rd, 4th, 5th option type play?
Yeah, so going from high school, where you, as a McDonald's All-American, we have the ball in our hand a lot of the game. For me, I was not the only player on my team that could ball. I had a couple other AAU teammates, so I didn't have to score 35, 40 points, right? So going to college, for me, my biggest thing was like, can I work hard enough, and am I going to be good enough as far as the level of talent there? So my thing was to come in as a freshman and just outwork people and make sure I'm doing everything that I can, everything that coach wants me to do, and I'll figure out how to pull some playing time, where maybe my teammates fell short, or coach was asking for something else. Outside of just that transition of competition and level, there's the volume of, how do you say this? Physicality, not physicality, but that too, like being physical, but you have your work, right? So you have the volume of your school and your classes and your whole schedules being planned out for you. And now you have real conditioning, right? And you have weights. So, you don't lift that many weights in high school. We lifted weights, but it wasn't to the point of comparison of a college program.
Right.
So we're lifting with barbells and dumbbells and doing all these different things, which was great. I love weights. So there's that. There's the film aspect of it. Almost every day, every other day, we are in the film room. So you're being pushed mentally on the basketball side as far as physical and mentally IQ. And then there's that school piece that is very different from high school, because in high school you have your smaller classrooms, and every day you have some homework. So you learn something new in class, and then you have to do some homework to make sure you get it. Right. In college, most classes, that's not what you get. You don't get homework. You get to read. You have to read, right? There's no worksheets unless you're in math. We usually had some homework for math, but other classes, it's just read and keep up with the long lectures in class. Don't fall asleep. Ask your questions that you need to. Come early before class to touch base with the teacher if you need to. And that's hard, because for me, when I learn something, I need to apply it. I need to write. I need to do some problems or something. Or answer some questions. But it was tough to have classes in college where it's just lecture, and then all of a sudden in 3 weeks you got a big old test, and I was like, what?
Right.
And then on top of that, there's those huge classes that are full of what do you call that? The big class, like auditorium room, like
auditorium,
like 100 people in there. So
yeah, absolutely. I walked on the University of Nebraska campus, went into my first chemistry class, and it was 200 kids, and I was like, "Oh, this is college? Yeah, no, I'm not ready for this. Let me go back to high school." My little, 20 student classroom, the one teacher. Yeah, so I totally feel you on that. Did you guys have tutors and study hall and all that stuff to help with the study aspect and the transitioning and getting the information from lecture style to where you can actually regurgitate it out on a test?
Yes. So we had mentors. So we had like a mentor that would stick with us through the whole year, which was the person that was going to help us keep on track to studying for our tests, helping us with certain papers, and helping us really to just develop our studying skills and just help us be mentored through our year or career there. I stuck with the same one. I liked mine. She was great. And then you can have tutors, right? You'll have a specific tutor that might come in and specifically help you with history or economics or your programming class.
Mhm.
You know, your mentor is like I would say, your academic coach, you know? And then you have those mentors for those other classes. So one smart thing that if you are in high school and you're going to college soon, I would get a tutor for every class that you have right out of the gate. Right
Yep.
out of the gate. I don't care if it's summer school or it's in regular school semester.
Or the spring.
That's one thing. Yeah, one thing I figured out fast after I think my first freshman year, that first semester. I was like, I need a tutor, especially sophomore year, like beginning of sophomore year. I'm like, no, I need a tutor for every class. You haven't even been to class, but I don't care. I need a tutor.
You need a tutor now.
I think
Tutor me on the syllabus the first day. That's fine.
Yep. I can't remember the class it was, but I had gotten behind like in a C area, and it's so tough in college. It's so tough to get back on track. Once you're behind like that, because you don't have work every day. You don't have all these extra points and opportunities to boost your score up. It's all about the test.
Right.
And I don't like tests, and I'm not a good test taker. Like, it's just, I had to learn that. I had to be on top of my game and make sure I 100% just knew what I was talking about and understood what the teacher or professor was asking. So Don't be afraid to get a tutor.
Right. Do not be afraid. There, no ego amigo here. Do not be afraid to get a tutor. Do not be afraid of study hall. Do not be afraid of office hours, because until I got to college, I didn't realize I didn't even have true study habits. I thought I did, but I didn't. I didn't know the first thing about studying when I got to college. So I had to revamp how I went about approaching class, my tests. I had to make my own homework assignments. I had to tell my tutors to give me homework assignments, because there was just no way that I was mentally ready for the level of knowledge that they were presenting. Because in high school, I didn't prepare in such a way to get ready for studying in college. I didn't prepare for reading, 30 pages a night just to stay caught up with the lecture and still be confused. Like, I didn't prepare in that way. So that was definitely a very, very big learning curve. So I'm sure a lot of freshmen can relate to that story, very much so.
Let me add one thing before you go on to the next one. I do regret not going to office hours more and early. Like, I figured out, let me just get a tutor for every class. But what I didn't also do is go make that connection with my teacher. And you don't have to be a teacher's pet, but at least for them to know who you are and that you actually trying to connect and making sure you're trying to get the content, so that when and if you do miss a test or you need an extra day because you were out of town for the conference tournament, that teacher knows, okay, yeah, I'm gonna let Ernie go ahead and come back or retest if you bombed it. Like, you don't know how much that can take you, that relationship that you are trying to build and trying to prove that, yes, I'm an athlete, but I'm still really trying to concentrate on my studies too. Because unfortunately, some professors do have that type of mentality that athletes don't care about their studies and that we just are helped pass by our tutors. I didn't have one tutor do a lick of work for me, or my mentors. So I don't know where they're getting that from.
It was other sports. It wasn't women's basketball.
Okay.
It was definitely other sports. I'm not going to get specific. It was other sports. So we have a couple of questions here, but I do want to point out
Sweet. Yeah.
that it's great that you mentioned the office hours and making that connection with your teachers, because we now with distance learning, that connection with the teachers is so much more important. Kids need to still make that connection with the teachers today, whether you're in high school, middle school, elementary, it doesn't matter. Parents, if they're in elementary, help them learn how to make that connection with their teachers, because that is the only way the teacher is going to know where they may need more help, where they may need extra homework assignments. The teacher only knows so much, and the parent only knows so much, because they're not sitting there in class anymore with the student. So it's one of those things where in the time of distant learning, the all important connection with the teachers is going to be what truly transcends grades to be at the level they need to be, to make sure that these students, I mean, there are some athletes in the group,
right.
yes, students are learning what they need to learn and getting the information in the way that they understand it, because everyone has different learning styles as well. So office hours, yes, that is something that I definitely didn't utilize, and I wish I would have, for sure. I'm gonna pop some questions on here. What was your favorite subject?
Favorite subject was math.
Why?
I think that was the one. There was no reading, first of all.
Hey, you're being honest right now. No reading.
Why did I like math? Because math was tough. I liked algebra because I was really good, comfortable plugging into the formulas and things like that. But once you throw triangles and stuff in there, I'm like, oh my gosh, what side is this? So, I don't
90
know.
degrees is all I got.
Yeah. Trapezoid, no, man. No, I like math. I don't know. I just enjoyed it. I didn't really like reading, and it's not that I didn't like it. It's like sometimes, okay, the subject was just boring and it didn't catch my eye, plain and simple. But I have to read. It takes me a little longer to read things, because I'll be reading the book and be like, dang it, what was that paragraph about? Just to be honest, and that's my reading, and that's my learning style. Now today, when I'm on YouTube or just trying to learn something, when I hear it and trying to just visualize it, I pick it up better than reading a book and reading the words. I don't know why. I think that's just me. And that's okay. And some people are totally opposite. So it was something about numbers and plugging into a formula where the formula didn't change. It's just figuring out those numbers. It was easy to me. Or easier. So
right. Math was not my favorite.
No?
Math was not my favorite. No. And nothing about math excited me ever in the history of life. Not at all. Let's see. What?
History? Was yours history?
Nope.
Good.
Definitely wasn't history. I don't even think I really had a favorite subject. I think it was just like, you have to learn this stuff, so just learn it.
I like the electives. Like we had, I remember in high school, we had this like internet class, like how to build a website, like way back in the day. And then I also had that class in college, my freshman year. And then I took a class with computers where we took apart the computer. We had the motherboard. You had to put the CPU on there. That's the type of stuff I liked, because I did that.
Hands-on.
Yeah, like I'm hands-on. So I think with math, you have to be hands-on with the problem. And when you just doing like history, or you just have to read, like I can't do nothing like to apply it.
You need a note card.
Note cards? Oh man.
Okay, one last question before we move on. How did you pick your major, and was basketball your main focus?
How did I pick my major? So what I intended originally to do was be an architect when I went to college. So I liked architecture and I liked interior design when I was in high school. I don't know. They just seemed fun and creative. And then I got to college and I wasn't able to do architecture because of the times of practice and the times of classes. So that went out of the window because basketball, of course, I had to make practice. After that, I got kind of put into education until I figured out what I wanted to do. I didn't really figure out what I wanted to do until junior year. And I had already had maybe 80% of my educational degree done. So I just continued with that, which the educational degree that I got was working with kids, which I do today, and teaching basketball. But it was more in a classroom setting. But for me, the classroom is the court,
right,
or the weight room. So it kind of went hand in hand, and being able to teach and communicate to people, not just young kids, but adults too. So I'm getting better with that, and I really enjoy teaching and trying to learn new skills. What was the other part of that question?
Oh, was basketball your main focus?
Was basketball my main focus?
Yeah.
Yes and no. Like you choose when you have scholarship opportunities, you choose because you want to go play basketball, and there is an educational opportunity for you. And sometimes you have that scholarship, or not scholarship, but that specific major that you're really looking for. But for me, it was both. Like, I don't know how to answer that. So there was not one over the other because they work hand in hand. I'm not able to go ball like I want to if my grades aren't right. I don't need my coach or my mama looking at me sideways.
Not mom. Oh no.
So my focus. So I think a good way to think about it, Alexis, is your focus is on both, but sometimes basketball needs more focus than your school because you got school on lock. Sometimes you got to raise the other. You got to get your schooling together because I might have a C or a D in a couple classes. So basketball might have to take a little back burner a little bit. You might have to leave practice early and let coach know, coach, I got to go to this tutor. I got to leave 30 minutes early. She's not going to like it, but those are the priorities in certain situations. So they work hand in hand. It depends on what situation you are in, but get a tutor early and you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you pointed on some good stuff. One thing that I would definitely advise any incoming freshman, unless you just have been doing, certain majors like engineering, architecture, those type of classes your entire high school career, like you went to a school specific to that, do not choose a major freshman year. Take your basic courses freshman and sophomore year, because I made that mistake and it did not go well for me, and I had to do exactly what Coach E was saying. I had to leave practice early. I had to get more tutors, and I had to work my way back to get to the point where I was satisfied with my grades because they were not where they needed to be. And that was because I went in with a certain major in mind, and I still needed to adjust to college before I could go in for one of these majors. I went in as an engineering major, and I didn't realize the huge learning curve that I needed to go through before I could start going through an engineering degree. Now I think I could go through an engineering degree, but please, please, please take my advice. Go into college undeclared. Take your regular classes, your math, your history, your basic classes. Mm-hmm. You can work towards the degree you want, but don't declare it because it just completely changes your schedule, and then it messes with your confidence, and it just can continue to snowball out of control. So that is something that I would like to advise for the young athletes out there going to college. So let's hop. Yeah, it is tough. Absolutely. So let's hop over to some basketball stuff. So we said you played 7 years professionally. Did you ever play in the WNBA or just overseas?
I played in WNBA with Lisa Leslie in my mind.
Oh, okay. All right. so like I did too. Yeah. Crossing everybody over.
I was
Never
LA Smart back in the day, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I never played WNBA. That was always the dream. Ever since I was little and understood what the WNBA was. Oh, that's the best league? Yeah, I want to play there, right? I want to work there. I didn't have the chance to graduate and then be invited to a WNBA camp. But there was this other opportunity that I could still play professionally and get paid and travel the world outside the U.S. And then also still see some of those WNBA players in other countries and play against them or play with them. So it took me a while to kind of actually let go of the expectation of the WNBA. I don't know, I don't know how to explain it, but like that was my dream, and I was kind of beating myself up because I wasn't in the WNBA. But I was pro. I was playing against some of them. I was playing with some of them, right? So I had to like let that go so I could just be less stressful. Like stop judging myself. I was judging myself because I didn't make it to the league, which if you think about it, it's very hard. There's not many spots. Super competitive. There's not many spots. Still not many teams. We're not growing that much, but it's tough. It's tough. You have more opportunity overseas, and then you get to travel on other people's dime and go to different countries, which I really loved. I really loved traveling to a different place every season.
Right. So, I mean, we rattled off some places that you went. Portugal, Ecuador, Spain, Sweden, China. What was your favorite place? Where was your favorite place to play?
Sweden.
Why?
That was my favorite. That was my best season. I think that was my third season, maybe 2012, 13. I had just came home from Puerto Rico. I was balling in Puerto Rico. I was there for like a month, and I got cut.
Oh, how dare they cut you?
How dare! I got cut. I came home for about 2 months. Just kept working, kept playing pickup and training. And then the day of Thanksgiving, I was supposed to leave and go over to Sweden and help a team get to top 10 out of 12 teams so they could stay in the first league. So I think they were like 10 or 11. So we were at the bottom. It was very fun because I was received very well in that country, in that team. They took care of us. And I had fun. I don't know, like it's different because when you go to certain countries and you don't feel like the team organization has your back, that's a very different feeling than going somewhere where they do, you know, and they treat you a certain way. And not because you're an American and the best player, but treat you like you're just normal and human.
Right.
Like things matter. Like if I'm sick, that matters. Like I need some rest.
Right.
You know, like basic stuff. And I just had a great time there. Great food. I was skinny and I was still athletic. So I don't know, I have fun. And I think a little bit with the country of Sweden them speaking English played into it. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was able to go to the store and ask for some butter, and you know I wasn't on a wild goose chase finding the butter.
It is
but the
different.
People are also very nice. I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
That's awesome. That the dream of playing in the WNBA and then going on to have a successful career overseas, and you talk about that overlap of the WNBA players and playing against them or with them. So a lot of people know this now, but the WNBA really only spans the summer months in the States. So overseas is where women's basketball is super popular professionally and on out. So the fact that both of us actually were able to play with and against WNBA players is something that, one, I'm glad you stopped beating yourself up over, because you were still living the dream that not a lot of people get to live, and that's playing their sport at the professional level. And that's a very hard goal to achieve, and not a lot of people achieve it. A lot of people, colleges did. And so, again, kudos to you for having, a long career. 7 years is actually quite a bit of time to play professionally. So I know you see some players who've been in 16th and 17th season and all that. Hey, those are hard seasons for them. That's why you see people like Taurasi and Maya Moore taking 2 and 3 seasons off.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You go straight from WNBA to overseas, and then you're the American over there, so you're expected to just dominate. And so can you talk a little bit about what those expectations were like as you were going overseas as the American? Maybe there's 1 or 2 other Americans on your team. What are those expectations? How does that play into your mindset and your mentality?
Yeah, this is a cool question because I really had to work on my mentality of being able to take over. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't believe it, but being able to take over going into my first year in Portugal. Because at UT, I was a starter, but I wasn't the main point of the offense, right? Okay. I wasn't the focus point of the offense. I would call myself a utility player, defense, energy, rebounding, but I could score, right? If they gave me the ball, I'm going to put it in the hole. So I was very still dangerous. But I didn't have to score 30. I didn't have to score 20. I'm good with a 10 and 10. My coach is good with that.
Hey, double.
In defense. And then, so I have to go overseas and flip the switch to like, oh, give me the ball every time. We're down 2. Give it to Ernie. I'm like, okay. So that was kind of cool. That was fun. That was fun because I was like, oh, okay. Now I gotta get this offense going. I gotta get this mentality change. So the expectations are for you to play both ends of the court and to lead the team to will us to win every game. Really, I mean that's what we're over there for, to score whatever we need to score to get the win, to get the dub. You are most of the offense on defense as well. I don't know. So my first year it was me and another American, and then we had the local players from Portugal. And so, we were most of the offense, I guess you would say. So a lot of the offense ran through us. A lot of the team camaraderie was on us to get the team together and push us to win. So there's a lot of expectation.
So what did you do to really help you turn that? Because now you're not even talking about just willing a team to win. You're not even talking about being the go-to player in the clutch of the game when the game is on the line. Now there's a language barrier, and everyone doesn't always speak English. So this is a kind of a 2-part question. What did you do to really start to turn the corner on, I have to be the go-to player, my mentality has to change? And then how did you become that leader and that voice of the team when maybe they don't even speak English?
Right. Okay, so changing my mindset as far as, Mamba mentality was, I started in practice. Okay. It started within our shooting. Like every day we had to shoot the same shooting drills that coach wanted us to do. And I was really irritated at the beginning because I was lazy. And honestly, I was lazy that first half of the season. But this is a side note. Like we had to shoot every day at 10 for an hour, not that long. We shot and had to make our back buckets. We did that. I was annoyed for like 3 months. And then after Christmas, my shot was wet. So I was like, okay, yeah,
that's why we did it.
Thank you. So yeah, anyway, you gotta go through the process. But even in the shooting practices, my mind was like green light, trying to put myself into, I don't know, those situations when you're down 2 and you need a bucket, or putting more pressure on yourself to say, hey, I can't miss 3 in a row or can't miss 2 in a row. The drills also help because the drills were to, hey, you can't miss 2 in a row. You're going back to 0. We got to make 10, right? So that started. And then in practice, it was every time I'm supposed to score against who's guarding me, I need to do it. Because that's what my coach wanted. Even if sometimes even if somebody else was open, right, wide open, he'd be like, why you pass it? Go to the basket. She wide open, though.
50 times. Don't pass it to her.
Yeah. it was different, but it was cool because hey, it's the green light.
Right.
I get to work on my craft. So it just was daily in practice and going to the bucket and playing against my teammates. If I was supposed to score against them, you know what I mean, right? If you're supposed to score against that person, you
light them up.
Because in the game, if they're not supposed to hold you, coach wants a bucket.
Yep.
So that's the mentality. And then the language barrier, I was lucky to have most of my coaches overseas speak English because, well, half of them were they were local, but they spoke a little bit of English, which was I could understand it. And then half of my coaches were not from that country. So like in Sweden, I had a Serbian coach.
Yep.
And then one year when I went to Romania, I think I had another Serbian coach, but Spain was the only place where my coach really didn't speak English, but the girls usually did. So I never really had a bad language barrier, and I didn't use that. I actually I would try to learn the basics of their language, and then hang out with the girls so I could understand what they're talking about. So yeah, so you can't let that be a issue or excuse. It definitely is an obstacle, but you gotta. There's gonna be people that at least one girl spoke English, and sorry for her. She was stuck to my hip because she was my translator.
So it was real love of basketball for me.
Yeah, it was.
Because I when I played in Poland, my coaches were Polish. They knew no English. There were two other Americans on my team. So here's the thing about overseas. This is a side note. When you go overseas to play, you can't have a team full of Americans. You only can have maybe 1 to 2 Americans on a team, and everyone else has to be a local of that country or another European player. So like if I'm in Poland, somebody from Germany could come play on our team, but they're not deemed an American. But so we could still have 2 Americans, which is why you see a lot of professional athletes who go overseas have dual citizenship, because then, you know, they're not counted as an American any longer. And then you get teams like in Russia and they just dominate, you know, for the next 20 years.
That's true. That's true.
But when I was in Poland, the coaches didn't speak English. And when they tried to speak English, their accent was very thick. So it was really hard to understand. So I would just ask a couple of the players, like, what did the coach just say? Or I had to really pay attention in timeouts when the coach is drawing up a play, because if anyone has ever played sports, especially basketball, if you blink, you miss the whole play because you have markers all over the freaking chalkboard, and it's just terrible. So I had to really focus in on a lot of nonverbal, a lot of finger pointing, a lot of hand gestures to understand what was being said and understand what needed to be corrected, where we needed to go, what play we needed to run, all of those things. So I say for me, it was like loving basketball, because it was what the coach say. After a 10-minute rant, just get the ball to you. Okay, got it. Keep going. So that's a lot of what it's like overseas as an American going play in another country. They really lean on the Americans to carry the team and be that leader and be that voice. And like Coach E said, you can't allow language to be a barrier to your leadership. You have to find ways to overcome it, whether it's hand signals, learning a little bit of their language. I learned a little bit of Polish. I've forgotten it now, but when I was there, I did pick up on some words, because you start to hear certain things, especially basketball-wise, the more you're in practice, the more you're in the weight room, all of those things. Are you bilingual by any chance?
No, I want to be. The language I would start off with would be Spanish. When I was in Spain and Puerto Rico, I could understand, but I don't know if I could respond very quickly, but I could understand what the coach was saying. And then conversation that the team is having, I just wouldn't be able to like jump in and be like blah 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 blah. No, but I really do want to be bilingual, and I think I'd start with Spanish. I will start with Spanish because what I did hate was that as an American, when you go overseas, people are bilingual or trilingual because they know their own language and they speak a little bit of English, or they can get by, or they speak two languages. Like some people, when we went to Romania, there was a lady that asked if we were French, or if we spoke French before being an American, because they speak French also, and their Romanian language. So yeah.
I ran into a few people in Poland. Like, they know German. They learn German, Polish, and English in school. So
they're already ahead.
We got nothing. We got nothing. So some fun stuff. What are some of your best or most favorite memories from playing overseas?
I can't think of specifics unless I like look back through some pictures and be like, oh, that was when that happened. But for me, outside of basketball, the most enjoyable part was traveling and getting to see different parts of the world, and get out of my American US bubble, and enjoy cultures, see how they relate to each other, see how like in Spain, the town shuts down at lunch. I'm like, you just got to work.
Siestas. Siestas, man. Come on.
But
build nap time.
They'll shut down for like 3 hours at lunchtime, right? Rather than like us, we just work through our lunches, and they'll work later into the night. But I think that's a great balance of work-life balance that they have. They take things slower overseas. We are just kind of go. And it's like you work to live. Wait, what's the phrase? Live to work when you're just working all the time?
Yeah, something like that. I know live to work and work to live, something along those lines. I wish I could
like
do
it. But I like it because it's a little slower overseas. Where I played, it was a little. I played in smaller towns, so it was more community based. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just different. It's just refreshing and different. For me, it was different. After I got over my first year of being away from home, and having the things that you like to go to the store just down the street, getting over not having that, they have pretty much everything in the store that we need.
They do.
I started cooking a lot. I started eating salmon over in Portugal, and I never looked back. I mean, it was awesome. Great food. So yeah, it's just different. And ever since I retired, I've been retired for 4 years, so I am missing getting out of the country.
Yeah.
When I would be home, I don't know if it's same for you, but when I would be home for the summer for like the 2 or 3 months that we train, and I'd be bored. I'd be like, okay, it's time to go. Where am I going?
You start getting it.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. So
yeah, there's a lot.
I'm a nomad at heart.
A nomad at heart. I don't know about for you, but a lot of walking happens overseas.
A lot.
I don't know if you got a car at some of the places you were at, but I did.
Barely.
I was walking everywhere or taking the train. That I don't know. Was it like that for you too?
Yes. A lot of places we had to use, public transportation. And I think it was more so most of the countries, it was because that's the culture.
Right. Absolutely.
Not everybody has a car. Like in America, depending on your city, you pretty much have a car, except for like New York or something, because you just call a taxi or whatever. But you got to have a car to get to work and get places. There, you can hop on the bus, you can hop on the van, you can catch a taxi like that. So, yeah, I just got used to that too. Like that was like having a car was kind of like a privilege, I think, for Americans, and then getting over there and getting used to hey, figure it out. Hop on the transit system and
Right.
figure out how to get to practice or get to the store, get to the mall.
Yeah,
Get to the
I'm pretty
movies.
sure every American has one I got lost on the train story
Oh
when
yeah.
they went overseas, because I know I did. I rode the train back and forth like 3 times, and I was just like, I don't know which one is my stop.
Yeah.
Nothing
And
looks
see,
familiar.
what you do is you go ahead and do that the first 2 weeks. So
Man.
when you get lost and you miss practice, coach can't say nothing. Like, coach, I was trying to get there, but
Oh,
can't
yeah.
do that. You can't do that later in the season.
No, you gotta do that early on when you're fresh.
You gotta do
For sure. Yeah, I went to the movies whenever I was in Poland. We went to the bowling alley. Like they like you said, there's a lot of stuff overseas that we have in America. They, have Powerade. One thing that was really, really, I say Powerade because I love Powerade, but one thing that was really, really challenging for me was the fact that they went to the grocery store every single day. And I was like, why don't you get enough food for the whole week? Oh, because we don't have a car and who's carrying all that food. So I
carrying all that.
adjusted to going to the grocery store almost every other day because I did not, after that one time of lugging all that food to the apartment, I said I wasn't. The store wasn't. It wasn't that close. I mean, it wasn't far. It was definitely walkable, but it wasn't that close either. So yeah, that is something else that I know personally I had to really adjust to is going to the store after practice every day. I was just like, it was annoying, but it was definitely easier.
Yeah, I'm that American that's gonna take a couple of book bags and like get my stash for the week, hopefully. Or
man, I tried. I tried, and it would have worked out better if my big suitcase would have had wheels on it, but it didn't. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this again.
But what I found too, though, is there's so many little markets.
Mm-hmm.
If you're positioned too, it depends on where your apartment is and all that. But if you're positioned, from in a place where you can go 5 minutes and grab some lemons or whatever you need,
right?
Which I do like that about Europe. Like, it's like how are all you different little grocery stores still in business? Like, everybody's kicking it. Everybody,
they are. They really are.
Yeah.
I don't know. One thing that we were talking about before we got on was McDonald's and KFC. And something that, like, I don't eat McDonald's at home. I don't eat KFC. I'm very selective in the restaurants I eat out at. But when I was overseas, their KFC in Poland was really good. And I don't know what it was that they did. Well, I know what it is that they did differently. But because they, stayed on top of making sure, the grease was really fresh and that they weren't serving, however I just know the grease part. Whatever else that they were doing, I was just like, we have to go to KFC. And I know you were talking about eating at McDonald's. And
yeah. And oh my gosh, I never eat McDonald's here. But when I was in Romania, like, that was the stop. They had these chocolate muffins that were so good.
Brought you back.
They had some chicken wings. I'm like, wow. It was really different. It's really different because they always have something weird, like, not weird. It's not weird actually, but like, we didn't have chicken wings at our McDonald's, but they had it and it was good. So McDonald's, there's Pizza Hut over there, Burger King, and like you said, KFC. So yeah, they got their hands over there, little fast food restaurants. I don't know what it is either, but their fast food is our chains are, I don't know, worldwide chains are better overseas. I don't know how to explain it. It's all fast food, but it tastes better overseas.
Right. It is. Were y'all's grocery stores in the mall?
Yes. Now that was something Portugal was like, wait, why is a grocery store in the mall?
Yeah.
Well, the big, like, for Portugal it's called Jumbo, like Jumbo.
Yeah.
that was like a main grocery store that was in the mall. There were some that were not in the mall, but yeah, the main one would be in the
main
mall.
one was in the mall, and I was like, so I'm going to buy some Nikes and chicken. All right, cool,
See?
got it.
And like that was trouble because as soon as you got your check, you was like, dang, let me go shop. And
Right?
in Portugal, we had a nice gym. We had 2 gyms. So one was older, and one was newer. And then we had a gym, and it had a pool, and then it was connected. So it had this street, and then it was connected over the top to the food court of the mall. So our facility was connected to the mall, in the store. So it was kind of a cool setup. They have some different setups overseas, definitely.
That's a bad combination, man.
Yeah, so we would in practice, hit Pizza Hut, hit the store, and then start shopping. And then before long, it's like, oh, we gotta catch the bus. Come on, we're about to miss the bus.
Yeah, for sure. Have you ever been the sole American on the team that you played on overseas?
Not overseas, but I was in. So I played on a team in Ecuador, which was not planned at all. I really went down there with a friend that got a contract for the summer seasons, and I just wanted to go with her. She wanted somebody to go with her, so I was like, okay, I'll go for a couple months. And then I was like practicing with her team and just trying to stay in shape. And then her coach was like, I can get you on a team here to play and make some money. So I was like, okay. So I started playing with this other team that was in the same league for about a month there. And yeah, I was the only American on that team. But it was Spanish, so I could deal with Spanish at the time.
Right.
So it was cool. It was fun.
That's legit.
Very different down there in Ecuador.
How so?
We were in Quito, so Quito was the capital.
Mm-hmm.
So they used U.S. dollars, which was great. Just different as far as population density in the area we were. And I think Quito is in, like a kind of valley. And so there was a lot of pollution and stuff and just kind of smog. But I don't know, it was cool. It still had, there's always like this American district of certain foods or certain restaurants and hotels. The team put me in a nice hotel, and then I don't know, we just kind of traveled around and found these different restaurants, which was cool. It was I don't know, I would like it. I want to go back.
Very cool.
So you say how so? So when I think about Ecuador, I think about this. Picture going to your Walmart, and there's Walmart out there. So picture going to Walmart, right? And you get out, and it's like, so look, I was getting ready to get off the bus, and I was God. I looked out the door, I looked out the window, and it was like, why is there a guy he had a K9, and then he had a shotgun in his hand outside of Walmart? I'm like, no, when y'all will give me a pack of Gatorade, I'm gonna stay right here. I took a picture. I don't know what that picture is, man, but I thought it was just the weirdest thing. I'm like, I don't know if I need to get off this one. I'll stay here. So that was weird. And then we traveled on this bus. I'm telling you, like, so going up and down these mountains, like you see in the movies, and there's no rail.
Okay, yeah.
And you got them crazy. I know you had some crazy drivers, right? So the bus just swang, and I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be it. This is it. I look over the side. Over the cliff, it's just green. It's just down. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be it.
Don't look.
Yeah. So the traveling, it was just weird. So we had different travels up and down the mountains, and then we would finally go down, and we had like straight, just a straight shot to wherever we was going. I don't know where we were at. I really don't. I'm just playing. I'm on the bus.
Just get there safely.
Just get there. And then we play outside. So in Ecuador, it's very, very new, right? New experiences. So we had this outdoor court. And I can't even remember what the court was. If it was like sport court, rubber, or even wood, or it was probably cement. But it was outside. Yeah, it was outside, but there was like this built over canopy.
Okay.
But like literally we're in outside air, bugs, everything. Hooping.
Balling.
so much. I do.
So as you can see, everyone, playing overseas can be the dream, or it can maybe not be the dream, or it could be a good mix of both, just depending on where you go. And that's really what I wanted to highlight here with this session is talking about mentality, how you make that transition from college to the professional level, and just understanding that as you get overseas and you play in different countries with different teams, different Americans, maybe there aren't any Americans, you really have to just adjust to what is in front of you and keep moving all the way down to cooking, shopping, walking everywhere. If you're not from New York, like I'm from Houston, and if you walked everywhere, you'd still be walking because it's just that big. So it's one of those things where we're highlighting a lot of the different things and situations that can come up as you begin to pursue that professional level of play, and specifically in women's basketball, because that's what we play. So I really hope this was informative for you guys as far as understanding what are some of the things we go through to pursue the dream that we have to play professional women's basketball. It's not always glamorous. It's not always easy. It can be a lot of fun. You really can enjoy your time overseas because, like she said, you do get to go to another country on someone else's dime and live for free and do what you love every single day. So it can definitely be a lot of fun. But I do want to give you some time before we log off here to talk about what it is you actually do here in the States with your eHoops performance. I have her information on the screen, but I'm going to let you go.
Cool. So I'm in Austin, Texas, and I do basketball training or skill development. I work with kids that are 8th grade on up to 12th grade, just working on how to improve their game and their confidence. Confidence for me, and I think you too, Coach, comes from, putting in the work and the reps, and then also taking a break and getting off the court and really thinking through what I do best as a player. Why am I playing? Why do I like it? And just self-awareness. So I try to teach that to my kids. I also do electrotherapy for injuries. So that helps people with injuries recover faster. And I actually use this. I've had ACL tears and meniscus tears and different injuries throughout my career. And I actually added on 3 to 4 years to my career by using this electrotherapy technology. And that's called the Newbie. And you can see some of that stuff at Shock Me Up on Instagram. Shock Me Up. You can remember that. Shock Me Up. But yeah, I also have a YouTube channel where I give tips and share my story, my experiences. I interview other professional basketball players like Coach TK as well. And just share the wealth. I mean, I had great coaches when I was playing and coming up in AAU, in high school and college. And there's some things still that I ran into that I didn't know. So I want to pass those to our younger generations of boys and girls basketball players and let you know about the life of a basketball player. Like Coach said, it's not always glamorous, but it is worth it. Absolutely. It's worth it. Because I almost didn't go overseas and play my first year in Portugal because of a knee thing was going on. And I almost didn't go. So to think that if I didn't go in Portugal, I probably wouldn't be playing 7 years and have the experiences I did get to have. And then meet some cool Americans, meet some cool European people that were so great and good to me. And we're going to be friends for a long time, You meet a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, we didn't even get into that aspect of all the people you get to meet and make connections with. And because of social media now, you can stay in touch with these people. It's not okay, well, I might see you next season, but maybe I won't kind of thing. So thank you for sharing that a little bit about, your business, eHoops performance, Coach Ernie Williams. And this is definitely the beginning. This is part 1 of a 4-part series where we're talking about sports and your mentality and your mindset. And this week, which just happened to be on the topic of playing overseas. Next week, we're going to talk a lot about injuries and how to recover from those, what your mindset should be as you're going through an injury, recovering from an injury. So she'll get to talk a lot more about her Nuvi and all of the things that she's doing with electroshock therapy and all of that good stuff. So stay tuned. We will be back next week. I thank everyone for joining in. Coach, stay on for a little bit as we sign off. If there are any more questions, I flashed her contact information on the screen here. Reach out to her if you're in the Austin, Dallas area and want to get some training, get more insight. She is available, and she is definitely a great coach to have on your team as you're continuing to grow through your basketball career. So definitely reach out to her if you guys have any questions. Also, I said we'll be back next week. I think that's all I have. I actually don't have anything. So Coach, thank you for being on. I look forward to next week. Stay on here as I get ready to sign off. Good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.